Right. Okay, now we're live.
Live.
All right, Clutch. We finally connected again.
Finally, after all these weeks, figuring out the problem.
That's okay. We also have busy lives, and
Yeah,
that's not bad.
yeah, it was
I
hard
thought,
to make it work, and then we kind of everybody here got a little bit sick. I don't know what happened. We don't get tested, so if it was Rona, I have no idea. But
you know
it went
what?
through the
Your bodies did what they're supposed to do. You're better now, right?
yeah, exactly.
Crazy how that works.
Almost like it was something built into us to fight disease.
You, it's almost like our bodies knew what to do.
I
Okay.
know. I know.
Okay. We don't want to
Sorry if
tread
I'm
into that territory.
sorry if I'm a little off today. I just woke up from a nap. There's a thunderstorm coming here, and I guess I felt achy and I just wanted to lay down for a bit and I inadvertently passed out. So I'm
No,
shaking the cobwebs first.
that sounds kind of nice. We had a windstorm out here in the Sierras last night, and to be honest, when my husband and I laid down, it was so relaxing to just hear the wind just kind of like howling outside, and it's nice.
It is, but we're still we have roads closed here, like major highways. We have communities under flood watch and
Oh
in warnings. There's a lot of flooding around here.
yeah.
So we don't need any rain right now. And I don't want to lose power because then my sump pump shuts off and then I gotta like run a generator. It's a big thing.
Getting up in the middle of the night, running outside, doing stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't get it too bad.
Well, that's interesting that you mentioned something about feeling achy because that's something my grandmother used to say. She used to sit there and talk about, she's got an ache in her knees. She's like, I got an ache in my knees. I think it's gonna rain. And she'd be right.
Yeah, I it's the same thing with me. I'm not old yet or not that old, but yeah, definitely I get like just a stiffness, kind of achy, and I know it's
Yeah.
coming. It's the humidity I think in the air because it gets real humid here, like crazy humid.
There we go back to our bodies knowing what to do, knowing how to react.
Yeah,
It's an awesome thing.
absolutely.
Is that
It is.
music too loud? Can you hear it?
I can hear something in your background, but it's not.
It's Bob Seger.
Oh, Bob Seger's all right.
Yeah. You're like, well, we're not gonna not welcome him. Oh,
uh,
wait.
Something here. Excuse me, one second. Something here. I don't know if you guys do it, but we have a thing called a social. So like if two people are about to get married, they'll have this party where they'll rent a hall, they'll sell booze, and it's a
Really?
big party. Everybody hangs out, and you got to pay to get in, and you got to pay for your booze, and sometimes they have like silent auctions, and it's a way to earn money for the couple for their wedding.
Oh no,
So
I've never heard of that. That's awesome though.
yeah, it's a like everyone does that here. It's like the most if you're getting married, you're having a social. And I can't remember where I was going with this.
Bob
uh,
Seger. You're listening to
Bob,
Bob
yeah,
Seger.
they always play old time rock and roll at these
Oh,
socials. Like it's like a tradition. You got to hear that song.
he plays that too. That's part of the album. But
Yeah,
yeah, we love our Bob Seger, and some days we feel a little more like instead of a rock, it's gonna be we do listen to Christian music, and it just depends. But
I
old time rock and roll is what makes it a party.
exactly. I listen to secular music still. Like I'm more careful that what I listen to than when I was younger. Some
Yeah.
things I can't listen to anymore because they're just too angry for me, and I'm not that angry young man anymore. But I don't
Yes.
think I'm not gonna go to hell because like the way I look at it is God made us, and
Yep.
I'm sure he expected that we are going to have our own human culture and we're going to
Yep.
do our own human things. And like if a song isn't directly about God and I'm singing about some cool ride I had in my 57 Chev back in the day, I don't
Right.
think he's like, "You're the devil. You're going to hell." Like I can't get on board with that. So I don't know.
No, that's interesting you say that, because I was thinking about that today. I was listening to my husband and I were driving back from running errands, and a song came on the radio, and I was like, he said, "This is a good song," and he turned it up, and I was listening to it, and I automatically caught myself in the first minute thinking to myself, like, what are the words saying? Are they true? Are they, because
Mm-hmm.
it was supposed to be a Christian song? And then I kind of my husband at one point, he's like, "What do you think?" or something to that effect. And I realized, I was like, "You know what I think? I think it's a good song. I really like it." And I
Right.
realized I sat there for the first minute of that song so ready to criticize it that I forgot to enjoy it.
Mm, yeah,
You know what I mean? And
I
I
do.
just,
Yeah.
we gotta watch how overcritical we can get if we're trying to be too careful. And I understand it's important to be careful, but it's like you said, there's some things like I wouldn't, I used to listen to like some angry rap. I mean, when Snoop Dogg first came out, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, gin and juice," and
I
just
love that song. That was the song that got me into rap. I hated
right,
rap until that song came out, and then me and my buddy back in the day, he would play that song, and he's like, "You're my dog," and I didn't know what that meant at the time. And I'm like, "Wait, you insulted me?" Like I wanted to
we
fight him, and he's like, "No, that means
no,
you're my
no.
buddy."
Everybody wanted to be a gangster after that. We were all starting
Yeah,
to sag our pants and
yeah.
stuff.
We were drinking big
Gin
old
and
English
juice.
beers and thought we were cool, So
Yeah. I remember I found an old photograph that a high school friend took of me on a 33, what was it, 33 millimeter camera, the ones with the
mhm,
roll of film in it that you actually
mhm,
had to take to the store and develop.
mhm.
My son has no concept of that. He has no idea. But there's a picture of me like with a black White Sox hat on, and it was backwards, and I was standing there with my hand out like I was a thug. I, you know what? I grew up a Navy brat. There was no way I was anywhere near being thuggish, but I
Yeah.
thought it was cool, and we all did. We all did it. But
That's funny you say that because there's a picture floating around out there that I wish I could have back where, uh, like I don't want to say too much about myself, but I didn't really grow up with parents. I was, well, I did at the beginning, but by the time I was about 15, 16, I was
yeah,
on my own, like literally on my own. I had
right.
my own apartment. I lived by myself. So
The days before credit checks, right?
and yeah, I ran with some bad people, and there was a like a street gang that was pretty prominent at the time in our city, and I knew them, and I hung out with them, and like I didn't commit crimes with them, but like I would party with them and hang out with them, and I ended up in a picture with all of them. There's about 50 of us on a big
Wow.
step in the central part of our city, and I'm up there throwing up the West Side hand sign, and yeah, I
West
wish I could
Side,
have
what?
that
West
back.
Side, Canada? I mean, I just,
West
like,
Side.
you were a Canadian thug, dude.
Yeah. Oh, they're here. Don't kid yourself.
Oh, we all did. We all tried to. I remember. I just remember all the different phases that I tried to when Madonna came out, and I wanted to be a material girl, and I did the ratted hair, and then
I
6 months
remember that
later
song.
I was a White Snake fan. It just depended.
David Coverdale for sure.
Yeah.
He's from Deep
No.
Purple, one of my favorite bands. So
Oh my God, that's okay. I gotta calm down. You gotta calm down, Shannon. You gotta reel me back in. My husband was watching YouTube videos, just kind of documentaries about that guy, Deep Purple. I was like, "What are you listening to?" Because I heard the guitars and stuff like that. And he's
yeah,
like, "It's a band called Deep Purple." And I'm like, "Isn't that
listen.
classical music?"
If you
And I,
listen to that guy Richie Blackmore, he can shred on the guitar like no one else. Coverdale could sing, and that John Lord, he could play the keyboard like. There's some keyboard solos that blow your mind.
oh my God, if my husband just walked off into the other room, if he heard you say this right now, he'd get all fired up. He loves those. And then, Neil Peart
Me
was the
too.
father of drumming. He defined the drummer's code and all this stuff. And
Oh,
Neil Peart and this and Neil Peart that. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
have no idea who these people are. John Bonham. John Bonham who?
I
He
was
just
always into the classic rock. That was, like I said, I didn't like rap till I was probably 19. I hated it. I'd make fun of people who listened to rap, and then
yep.
I was always a classic metal guy. Long
Yeah.
hair. Like when I was growing up, the cool thing was to be, I don't know if you, I'm sure you had groups, like we had preps and
Yes.
skaters, and well, my group was the headbangers, right? We were called bangers, and we wore leather jackets and tight jeans and had long hair and thought we were really cool.
Wow.
You'd
I
never
know.
know now
It's
if you
funny
looked
when
at me, but
you describe that, and I automatically remember like at least 5 people I went to high school with. I remembered their names all of a sudden, like, oh my god, that was, that was Drew Martin, and that was so and so, and
yeah,
oh my god. But I went to high school out in Seattle, so the grunge thing
would have been
was
huge.
very prominent. Yeah, that was very prominent. And yeah, of course there were the preppies and the jocks, and of course, gotta love the nerds. I love,
Yeah.
now it's cool to be the nerd, but
I try to tell my kids like, and they just don't understand like how like have you ever seen the movie 21 Jump Street, the remake? It's a
yes.
really
Oh, not the
and
remake. I remember when Johnny Depp was 21 Jump Street.
they redid the movie, right? And the roles are reversed. Now all the cool guys are nerds and all the jocks are the losers, right? And so the guy, yeah, it's hilarious, right?
Oh,
And
the
that's how
jocks
it is.
are always the bad guys.
Yeah, yeah. I try to
I
explain to my kids like, hey, this is how it was, and they're like, Dad, that's like just it's not like that.
Yeah, that's inappropriate, Dad. That's discrimination.
Only my see, about 2 years ago when the Rona started, my wife finally listened to me because they were shutting schools down anyway. So she
Yeah.
finally agreed that we would homeschool. So we started homeschooling, and then we ended up
Oh,
moving out here. And my middle son, or I guess my youngest son, I should say, he has a severe heart condition and a severe rare disease, and he doesn't
oh,
like going to
sorry.
school. And like he had surgery on his heart when he was 2 years old.
Oh
We had to
no.
move. We had to move to another city in another province and live there. We had to leave our other kids behind and leave them with relatives, and we had to go and hope he would live, right? And we didn't know.
Right.
And so he doesn't like school. He doesn't like to go. He doesn't like school here. He gets headaches. He gets tired. So he doesn't want to do that. And my youngest daughter, she's not ready for school yet. So, but I'll homeschool her. But my son, when he moved out here, he had no friends because we're in a new community and he doesn't know anybody, and he really wanted to go to school. He's in high school, and
Right.
he wanted to meet people, and he's smart enough that I can talk to him and tell him like something that they're teaching him at school. I'm like, that is ridiculous, and this is what's really going on. So we can do that. So I let him go so he can
Right.
meet people, and I get it. I get it. You
Some
want to be
kids want
social,
to
right?
socialize. They want to
Yeah.
be social. Yeah.
But I'm very careful about what, like, I'm like, hey, this is what it really is, or I'll involve God. I'm like, well, what about this, or what, like, I'll challenge what he's being taught at school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know where I was going
Okay.
with that either.
No, we were talking about like the times have changed. When we were in high school, we were
Yes.
preppies, jocks, kids. They don't have a concept of that really because
There is
first
no
of all,
groups anymore. No,
no,
they don't do that. There is, like,
yeah,
everyone's the same, which is terrifying. That means that propaganda is
conformity.
working, right?
Yeah, conformity.
Exactly. That's the word I'm looking for. Exactly.
What's the line in that one Rush song? Conform or be cast out.
I don't know. I don't like Rush.
Oh, but they're from Canada. But they're from Canada. They're from Canada.
Oh,
Come
they're
on,
from
man.
Canada, eh? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like them. I don't like prog rock.
No! Don't tell my husband that. He loves them.
I know everyone loves Rush, and they're like, look at me like I'm insane. I'm like,
like you have to love them because you're from the same country. Don't you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And we have weird rules here, like on the radio, for example. There has to be a certain amount of Canadian content played, so you can't have like 5
What?
American songs. Yeah, you can't have 5 American songs in a row. So you have to have like some Canadian songs mixed in. So with Rush, there's only like 2 songs they ever play of them on the radio. So you hear it all the time, and you're like, oh, like Tom Sawyer is one, and I can't remember the other one. I'm like, oh, tune out.
You're so like a Tom Sawyer.
I hate it. I hate it.
I would too. I mean, I've never even heard of that. I didn't even realize that was a thing.
And
like it's kind of patriotism, or
I don't. Canada's weird. It's commie here, and it's going to get worse because Trudy is trying to introduce a bill that's going to control the internet and it'll be like the same rule with so like on YouTube I'd have to see a certain amount of Canadian content, but it's also going to go after like independent news. So we have something here called Rebel Media. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yes,
but
I
they're
have.
kind of like an independent news group, right? And they challenge the status quo, and they do not like them. So it's a way for them to censor that voice off the internet as well. So it's all about censorship.
I heard. You've mentioned that in the last time we chatted, and the internet and everything, and
it's scary, man. You're gonna need a VPN just to like. I might not be able to connect with certain people because it'd be blocked, right?
And they will find a way to censor that too someday.
And they'll look at what I'm saying. Even they could if I tweeted something. I don't use Twitter, but if I made a comment on YouTube, they could censor that. They'd have the power. If I had a little channel and it started gaining steam and they didn't like what I was saying, they could censor that.
They do. And it's it's a snowball effect. It's starting to get more and more. But see, that's how come people are becoming so acclimated to it, is because it starts small and it's not that big of a deal. Then it gets a little bigger. Some people get upset. And the ones that really raise hell about it get censored out and shut down. And that way there's no opposition. And then it just becomes normal life. Just like no more preppies and jocks in high school. They've morphed that out.
There's a very I don't know what there's a national move in Canada, like nationalists. And I know if you say that word, people think you're a racist. You said nationalism, you're a racist. And I'm a national. You know, I believe that we should help ourselves first. Like we have starving veterans, we have homeless people in the street. People can't pay their bills. Why are we sending trillions of our dollars to other countries when we could be helping? You're sending my money to someone else? Like, it makes no sense to me.
Exactly. I always wondered that about adoption. Why are we adopting children from all these other countries when we've got children, American children, in our own backyard that have no place to go? Being
sacrificed to Moloch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds stupid, but it really is like, it is kind of that. The same thing, you know.
I hate to think of that, but I mean, it's true.
Well, you guys got Roe v. Wade might be being overturned, right?
Wasn't it? I think it was.
I don't know if it was. I thought
I haven't followed the news.
That's terrific. Then it just goes to the states, right? So each state would be able to decide whether or not abortion was legal or not.
Yeah, and I've only caught little. It is legal there.
Yeah. So is euthanasia. Like if I have cancer, or if I'm old and or I'm really depressed, I don't want to live anymore, I can get a doctor to sign off on killing myself.
What?
Yeah, it's true. I'm telling you, you guys don't know how communist Canada really, like, we are a socialist pit of shit. Pardon my language, but
no, I understand. I didn't realize some of these things. Yeah, you know, my husband works with a guy.
My tax dollars go to that, right? Like I'm supplying. Yeah. Like, and I don't want to do that. I don't have a choice where my money goes.
And people talk about, well, you've got free healthcare. You've got free medical.
It doesn't. We don't. Like we do and we don't. Like we have to pay. If you don't have like I could go to the hospital right now, and if I'm in an emergency, they'll treat me for free. Absolutely. I'm paying for it with taxes. If I had cancer and they took it out, it was free. I didn't pay for that. Now I waited almost 3 years to get the surgery. And I was freaking out because they're like, yeah, you got cancer and it's growing in you, but we'll get to it.
We'll get to it eventually. Hopefully, if you
Yeah,
can't help
but for
it, don't die before then.
prescriptions, ambulance, tensor bandage, dentist, any of that, if you don't have insurance, you're paying out the ass. Like, you will pay so much money. It's not even
Wow.
funny. So we're like kind of a two-tiered system. It's odd here.
May I ask, what percentage taxes do you pay in your where you live? I can't say state, your province.
We're
Like,
provincial,
you,
yeah. We pay a lot of tax because we have income tax where you have to
right?
pay income tax at the end of the year, based on like whatever it goes in categories, right? Like maybe 20 to 50,000 and then 50 to 70, and you'll pay a different percentage. On top
Right.
of that, you pay sales tax on everything you buy, GST
What's your
and
sales
PST.
tax? Give me a number.
12% right now.
Really?
Yeah.
We are
So
at maybe 8.265 here
yeah,
in.
we have gas tax. We have I think they worked it out. It's like almost 50% of people's income go to tax basically in Canada.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy an amount. Yeah, I could be off on that. It might be higher, might be a little lower, but it's around that mark where you're paying a significant, and like if you sell a house, you're paying tax. You sell a
Yeah.
car, you're paying anything you do, you're paying tax.
That's incredible.
Constantly.
See, that's not something they talk about when it comes to, oh, free education and free medical. It's free. Well, who's
It's not free.
paying? Yeah, who's paying the doctor then, and who's paying the professors and the teachers? And
And our
I'm
doctors,
lumping.
we have brain drain here, where all our doctors and our scientists, they go to you guys because they get paid more there.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
And I think in the States, especially the college kids who all they hear about are, oh, vote for this politician and he'll make your education free. It's like
Yeah.
nobody
There's
has
no such thing as free. I don't
yeah,
understand.
nobody has the sense to stop and think, well, then how are they paying the electric bill at the college? It just things like that. Nothing's free, and somebody's going to pay for it, and I don't think they realize it's going to be them someday. And
Or your grandkids,
exactly, yeah, it's got to be paid for somehow. That's a
We
lesson.
printed the most amount of money in the last 2 years. We printed 40% of the total amount of Canadian currency ever created was in the last 2 years. So our inflation is skyrocketing right now. Our kids are going to be paying that debt for the next 50 years, 60 years, before that, if they could ever pay it off.
And that's the biggest worry is, you've I gotta say, Clutch, you've got something good going if you're homeschooling your kids, because you can make sure that they are being taught what really is important.
Yeah.
My son had to write a 2-page essay. I remember it was like 6-7 months ago. He had to write a 2-page essay on the relations between mental illness and gun control or something. And I was like, what are you learning? Do you guys even have home ec anymore? I mean, it was just blew my mind, the stuff that he didn't even know how to write a check. I'm like, I remember we had a class in high school that would actually teach you how to balance a checkbook.
Yeah.
And how you
About
had to
mortgage,
write out. Yeah. And then remember when you actually had to sit there and somebody told you, okay, when you write a $100 check, below it on the line, you have to spell it out. O-N-E. You had to spell out the damn word. My son had no idea. He was just like, why would you have to write it out? It's in the numbers. I'm like, because when you write a check, it's just.
Well, now they just tap a card, right? It's all cashless. Just tap a card, tap a card, tap a card.
Wait till we start scanning our thumbs and.
I'm not going to do it. Like, any of that stuff that comes, I won't do it. Like, if they say it's a digital ID, I'm not doing it. If it's, I just won't do it. Like, you can do whatever you want to me, but I'm not.
Take me off the grid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disconnect me. I don't care. Hey, did you ever? I don't mean to go out in the left field now, but you reminded me of a show that was on Netflix. I think it was over a year ago. Black Mirror. Have you heard about that?
I've heard of it, but I Like I canceled after the Cuties thing. I don't know if you know what Cuties was on
Yes.
Netflix.
Yeah. I
After
canceled
that,
after that because I was sick.
I told my kids and they were upset with me, and I'm like, well, do you want to? Are we cool with supporting child porn? Like, are we going to pay these
Yeah.
guys to do child pornography? And then when they
Yeah.
thought of it like that, they're like, oh, well, I didn't say, maybe not to my youngest kids. I didn't say child, but
I was gonna say your
to my
daughter.
older kid. But and to my wife as well, right? And then we ended up now we have Prime just because they wanted something
Yeah.
to watch, and I was like, it's $8. I'm like, I guess, but I don't want to. I don't really want that either. But I can't completely like shut out the world from them, you know.
Yeah. No, I know. My son wanted a new phone, and it's one of those 5G things, and I'm like, no, I'm getting rid of my cell phone in a couple weeks. I'm not. No, not gonna do
We
it.
have that 5G here, and
Uh
no
huh.
one's turned into a zombie yet. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't want to be part of it when it escalates. That's all. I just would rather. Go ahead.
I've been thinking about that lately. The I know we've had discussions where other people at other shows where we're like, I don't discuss the end of the world all the time, but I've been thinking about it, and more, I'm not convinced it's biblically the end, but it is the end of something. Like it's coming.
It's
It's
the
gonna happen.
end of the world as we know it,
They're
and
shutting
I
off the
feel
petrodollar.
fine.
Exactly. That was beautiful, like an angel serenading me.
Well, you know what I was starting to tell you about Black Mirror, this
Oh
show.
yeah, sorry.
Well, no, that's okay. One of the episodes was actually I was watching this and I was like, that is disgusting. It's a world where these people have like a brain thread in the back of their ear. There's a little node or
Like
kind of like a
Neuralink?
that's the funny thing. That stuff came out before Neuralink went public. So nobody even heard of Neuralink when Black Mirror had the show about it. And in the show, the guy actually finds out his wife is cheating on him, and all he can do is rewind the images in his head with this little. You get this little controller with your thumb that you can rewind and see things, with this thread in your brain. And he got so obsessed with it that he finally wanted to literally he took nail cutters and cut it out from the back of his ear, and he pulled it out, and there's this long thread, and that's how he kind of tried to get over her. And then Neuralink comes out, like it went public, and they're like, oh, we've got volunteers that will get Neuralink for free. And I'm like, oh, lucky them.
Two two things
I
that
couldn't believe it.
two things that come to my mind when you say that. One, it reminds me of a movie called Strange Days. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's about 1999. It was about the millennium, and they
Is
in
it
that
with Arnold
movie.
Schwarzenegger in it?
No.
No. Okay, then I don't know, but I'll look it up.
It's
I'll.
Ralph Fiennes, Tom Sizemore.
Hmm.
So the whole catch of the movie is they have a drug, and like let's say it's a lady. You want to feel what it's like for a lady to have intercourse. So they could
Yeah.
hook this thing up to this lady's brain. She'll have the experience. Then you could put it onto your head, and you'll live the experience. It'll be like you're really
Oh.
there. Right, and it becomes a drug for them, and everyone becomes addicted to it.
Huh.
It's quite wild. But
Well, there's something that touches on something like that in what's the movie? Not Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock.
oh yeah,
He was
Demolition Man.
frozen. Demolition Man, yeah, where she like nobody has sex anymore, and
Yeah, they
that's how
don't
they end up.
touch. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I'm like, what? Yeah, okay.
And back to that,
I haven't seen the movie you talked about, but I know the concept that you're talking about.
the guy who made Neuralink. I don't trust him. Like, I don't
Mr.
think he's a
Musk?
good guy.
No, of
Musk.
course. Yeah, I don't
Like,
either.
I'll send you a video of this. This guy's named Jacob Israel, and he has some pretty good theories on what's going on there. But
Okay.
it
Drop
Like,
me when you send me the link. I'll post it in the description. And
sure,
if you
sure.
want this talk to go public, that'll be good, something good to share because
Yeah.
you
He,
know.
I think he, like, with that whole Twitter, one thing I was thinking is like he needed $44 billion to buy Twitter. He's the richest man in the world. He has all this technology. He could have just built his own platform. He didn't need
Yes,
to buy Twitter. So he's buying that for another reason. I think he wants data. I think he's after data for AI. That's really what I think is going on there. But
that's an interesting concept because why would, if you were a millionaire and you wanted to buy a Lexus, why
million,
would you
more
want
than
to
a
use
millionaire.
one?
He's a
Yeah, but
quadrillionaire,
as
if
an
that's even a number.
example, my little mind can't get around any more than 30,000 a year. So
No kidding.
if if I wanted to buy a new truck and I could afford it, and then I just went out and bought a used one, a
Yeah.
brand new 2003, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
So yeah,
Yeah.
you have a great point there. That is, I
It's
mean,
odd.
because if he can create Neuralink, and isn't he also working on like the self-driving cars
He's
and
got Tesla. Yeah. And
it's
what
something
if you look
else?
at the Tesla logo is kind of like a trident. And like when you look at the trident symbol, also on the Ukrainian flag, I might add, uh, who is like associated with a trident when you think about that?
I think
Like
about Poseidon, but I think you're going
Poseidon,
toward,
Zeus, Satan, they've all had
yes,
pitchforks or tridents, right?
pitchforks. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just, and it could mean nothing. Like I could just be, but I just find little things like that interesting.
It's all right. If you're a lunatic, you'll fit right in with here. But
I might be.
yeah, but yeah, I think you're onto something. I hadn't really thought of it before. I mean, when I found out he bought Twitter, I was just like, who cares?
It
I
makes no
was
sense
like,
to me.
yeah, but then it might later affect us. You never
And
know.
listen to this. This I didn't come up with this thought on my own, but this is something. I'll give you an example of what that Jacob Israel is saying. He says, so Tesla or Musk, he has SpaceX, right? The Dragon,
Yeah.
that's the rocket. So the
Right.
Dragon is giving the power back to the beast, one of the heads of the beast. So like it says in Revelation, right? The dragon gives power onto the beast, one of the heads of the beast. If you remember that passage.
Oh,
So who's one of the heads of the beast that could be getting his power back? Maybe
Trump.
Trump? Yeah.
Yep.
Like
I
I don't
was
know. I
thinking.
don't trust Trump either. When he first came to the scene, I was like, oh, I really like him. He says things that are true, and he's not talking like a politician, which made me like him. But the
Yeah.
more and more you see what he does, I don't think he's a good guy. Like I think
We all no, we all fell for it. My husband and I too. We were up until 2 a.m. that election night, waiting to see if he won or lost, because
mm,
he came out and he was the guy that said stuff against. He actually said the word globalism in his speeches,
yeah,
and
called fake
and he
news.
yeah, called him fake news, and is like, this is the guy. This is the guy that's gonna fight the globalists. And then
Who
after a
made
couple of
the
years.
thing very possible? He sped up the thing. I don't want to say the word,
No,
but
I know.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It may
yeah.
he. I remember. Oh, there's so many thoughts going through my head. My mouth can't keep up. Um, I
Yeah.
remember specifically turning to my husband and I said, I have a feeling that his role in all this was to expedite the plan,
That's
because
right.
it
That
almost
you're
seems like everybody's doubled down now that he's in
yeah,
office.
yeah,
And
yeah. I think he's going to come back.
you think so?
And that's another thing. It looked like he was. So some of this could be symbolic, right? When we read Revelation, where he's got a grievous head wound and seems to be out of the picture, and then he comes back, right? So that's sort of some of the stuff that Jacob Israel guy talks about. He really speaks about it in symbology, right? Like I don't know if that's a word, in symbols.
Yeah.
He talks about constellations, like 2 years ago, how the dragon was in the sky and it was eating uh, Virgo, right? Stuff like that. So
Wow,
it's
that's
very
stuff
interesting.
I really need to learn more about that because you're talking about it, and that's interesting. I've never thought or heard about this. So,
And that's all it is. It's interesting, right? Like, who knows? Well, I don't know that it's true or not true. I'm just,
well, I don't think we're supposed to know for sure. I mean, I've been saying that to every time people come up and start talking about like this was written and we only have this much left, and no, we don't. You don't know. Don't act like you know, because
two things.
nobody knows. We're not
That's right.
supposed
Two
to
things.
know as people. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I'm sorry. I should be listening and not waiting for my
No,
turn to talk.
it's fine.
I it just same thing. I have so many things come into my mind. Uh, like when I say that to people, they're like, "Well, they did say that there's signs and seasons, and that you can read." And to an extent, yeah, like we can read some of the signs and see that things are getting close or not close or whatever, but we still don't know. It will be like a thief in the night, and we won't know until it's upon us.
That's
But
right.
the other thing that, and it's something we've talked about before, and it just came into my mind, that is just a pet peeve, and I really should learn how to deal with it on my own because it's probably more my own problem. But I'll listen to someone talk and they'll say, I didn't believe in God till 2 years ago, and I was watching porn and I was smoking drugs, and then they tell me, and then the next breath they tell me exactly what the Bible is, and like it means this, and this is exactly how it's to be interpreted. And I'm like, dude, you didn't even believe 2 years ago. I've been studying this since I was 6 years old. Like, as far as I can remember, this has been the biggest thing in my mind, right? And not to say I have any answers, because I don't understand it. The more I learn, the less I know. So I'm
Yeah,
struck with wonder how this person could know all this and be so sure that they
I
have the
feel
answers.
I feel you. Yep.
You know,
I get that. I get that kind of notion sometimes too, and it takes everything I have to just keep my mouth shut when people are talking about, well, the evils of this world and the sins of those sinners and those sin, and I'm like, how have
which
you made it this far without a single sin? I mean, from what I understand, being of the flesh, we probably sin every day.
I
You know,
I see now. I don't agree with that, and that's
you
something
don't.
that no, and that's
I know
something
I
I
do.
just
I have
well, hear
days
me
where
out.
I look back at my day and I was like, oh damn, I shouldn't have said that. You know, I shouldn't
Okay,
have.
hear me out.
Go ahead,
Hear me
go
out.
ahead. I'm listening.
So this is something that JLP says, and it makes me think. Okay, so if you said something nasty to someone, that's not a sin. If you were short with your husband and you're like, I'll freaking do it later. I'll wash the dishes later, and then later that's not a sin. A sin
Really?
is a transgression against the law. The Bible's very clear what sin is. Okay, it's transgressions against the law. And if you're like, I don't sin every day. Like, I live out in the forest. Like, what am I doing that is so sinful? You know, like there's days where I might do something that is sinful, but I'm not every day. Like, I'm not robbing,
You
I'm
just
not
looked at
raping,
that
I'm not
tree
stealing.
wrong.
You know, what am I doing that's so sinful? I'm not doing anything, right? So I don't buy that we sin every day and we're all dirty sinners. And yes, we do sin and we have sinned and we need to be cleansed of that. And that's kind of the purpose of Jesus, is to allow us to cleanse us so that we're holy in front of God. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to be presented in front of God. We'd be destroyed because He's holy. But
Right.
everyday sin? No. Like, are you murdering people? What are you doing every day that's so evil? Like, I don't believe that. I don't
That's
believe it.
interesting. No, that's interesting that you say that, Clutch, because I hadn't thought of it that way.
Being a jerk isn't a
However,
sin.
really?
No,
Be
I
careful,
don't think
because
so.
now I'm gonna be like, no, no. I'm really trying. You know, I know that I was very arrogant and I was such an asshole to people, especially when I was younger. It's almost like I enjoyed it. I did it on purpose just to kind of see if I could get a rise out of people. It was very arrogant. But
Well, we've all been there.
your point is a good point, and to me, I had always kind of figured, like, when I sit there and I passively aggressively don't answer this phone call because I know that's the number of the lady that was rude to me an hour ago, I feel like that's a sin because I'm just like,
No, that's not a sin. No,
you
no,
know,
absolutely not.
it,
No, you're being a jerk, maybe, but it's not a sin. It's
thanks,
not a
Clint.
sin. I'm
Well,
being serious. How is that a sin?
I know
Does
I'm
anywhere in the
seriously
Bible say,
considering.
"Thou shalt not answer thy phone" or "shall answer thy phone"? It doesn't say that anywhere.
Thou shalt not be passive aggressive.
Right? It doesn't. It doesn't say that. Now, should we be nice and kind to people? Of course, but I don't think God's like, "Oh, well, on Thursday you friggin' didn't answer the phone, so hell's with you."
And that lady, yeah, that's an interesting point, and I like that you said that. That is a very good point. However, I
Yeah,
would like to point out one thing that I really
yeah,
don't like, and I do
yeah.
think it is a sin, is
Okay.
when somebody is talking about, like, if I were to sit here and tell you, like, you know, those people that do this, they will burn in the lake of fire, and then and it's like I'm talking like, ah,
Is there a
I
duck
don't.
in the background?
No, there was I'm getting little buzz notifications from Skype.
Oh yeah, I think I am too. For a show.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I just got. Yeah, I
Okay.
got it too.
Okay, I was gonna say I was gonna make it funny and say I had a lot of eggs for lunch, but no, I just I got little buzzes. So, but
Yeah,
I,
sorry. Go
I'll
on. Yeah.
use an example. There was somebody I was looking through a conversation, and somebody had said something like, those people, they will learn their ways were sinful, and by the time they realize it, it will be too late for them, and da da da. And it just sounded very like you were pointing downward and being judgmental. I have an uncle in Texas. Okay, now here I go into the next left field. um I remember he was very he's very boomhauer, okay? So when you listen to
That's
Uncle
awesome.
Halls, he's going, yeah, and it's not when you don't understand him. But he sits there and he starts going off about, them lesbians and gays, they ain't going to find no way into the kingdom of heaven and stuff like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Uncle Haas, and the funny thing is, he doesn't use the word lesbies and gays. He uses, dacks and
Yeah, the
fags, and
hardcore slant. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but to him, that's what they are. When and he's like, well, that's what they call themselves. So,
Mm.
and I'm like, I understand, Uncle Haas, but I mean, aren't you being a little judgmental? Like, I'm not saying that it's okay, oh God, here I go, like, into that
No,
part
I
where
get. I
I'm
get.
gonna tick somebody off.
Screw them.
You're gonna sit there and talk crap about somebody. It seems judgmental, and I think that's a sin. That's my
It
point.
is. It is. That it is to be judgmental is a sin. It says that. That's clear. Take the log out of your eye before you take the splinter out of your brother's. Jesus
Yeah,
said that, right?
yeah,
So if Jesus says, I'm not a Christian. I try to be a follower of Jesus. That's what I want to be. That's
yes.
lead.
Thank you.
And like, I've been thinking about the Bible and like a lot of things lately. Like, the Bible is not biblical. And what I mean by that is there anywhere in the Bible where it said God says, I'm going to give you 66 books. This is their names. This is the rules, blah, blah, blah. Nowhere in the Bible does the Bible ever speak about the Bible. Like, you know what I mean? It
Yeah,
never mentioned. And the whole canonical process, the Council of Nicaea, all that, and how the books were chosen, I find highly skeptical. And there's
yeah,
books in the Bible that are written that I think counteract other parts. Now, does that mean everything's not true, or I should throw the baby out with the bathwater? Definitely not. There's wisdom to be had in that book, and there is the Word of God. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna have to pick through some stuff. Like, it's not. You know what I'm saying there?
yes. I feel like you kind of touch on something my dad used to say. He used to just tell me, he's like, just remember, the Bible ain't God.
That's
It's
right. And
you
people
know
idolize it, especially the King
that was
James
his
only
point.
people. They
Yeah, that
idolize
was his
that thing.
point.
It is an
People would,
idol to them.
yeah, and
It is.
he felt like that was just a people kind of going overboard with the Word of God. It is a documentation, of the events that of Christ and stuff like that. But I mean, it it is not God. And when you worship it more than having
Bingo.
that relationship with Jesus, that it's just like you said, I'm not a
It's
Christian.
idolatry.
Yes.
It is.
And
It's 100%. And how they can't see that, I am so baffled. I don't know.
I know.
And then
And
another
I
thing I
feel
was
like it's
thinking.
a I
Another.
love when we do that.
I know.
I'm like, oh, I'm
Another
being
thing I
rude.
was
I
thinking
interrupted
lately
him.
is like, let's say I'm an evil man and I commit sin my whole life and I murder and I rape and I steal and I don't love people. But just at the end, I'm like, I knew God was real the whole time. At the end, I'm just like, look, I really believe, forgive me, and I die. Does that guy go to heaven? And then let's say I'm a dude who lived
A
like
good
as
life.
perfectly a great life, like as good as I could, but I didn't say those magic words.
Yeah.
So was that fair? Like that one guy who's evil his whole life, he gets to go in, but the guy who's good his whole, and I know no man is good, but you get what I'm trying to say
Right.
there.
The perfect citizen that never cussed, never
Never
got drunk.
murdered, always helped people,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And he doesn't go? Like where would the fairness be in that? I
I
can't.
get the concept that you're talking about the concept of works, aren't you?
Well, yes and no.
The
Like
merit system, or just a person as a whole being a good person.
I think that I'm not sure, and I'm not saying that this is exactly biblical, and this is just me talking, right? So like don't take it with a grain of salt. But I think that more people than we think are going to go. We're not going to go to heaven. See, I don't think a lot of people, not at least not at first. And I'm pretty sure the Bible's pretty clear that we go to Abraham's bosom, which is
Right.
like part of Sheol, which is the underworld.
Oh, yeah, I've
And
heard people talk about that. I don't understand it completely, but go
so
on.
Abraham's bosom's like the good half of Sheol. It's paradise. And I think that a lot of souls will go there and wait for final judgment. The bad people, the people who were very sinful throughout their lives and didn't have any redeeming qualities about them, they're going to go to the other half of Sheol, which is the lake of fire. And the Bible's very clear about that. It's especially in the Old Testament, it describes it very clearly. And
Do
even
you
Jesus was said to go down to the underworld and bring people up, right? And he has the keys. So I think that maybe, and this I could be wrong, that a lot of us will go there, and then at final judgment, that's when like you'll have a chance to bow before God, and you'll have your judgment, and we'll see what happens there. And I'm not saying it's like you can earn your way to heaven, because I don't think that. But
right.
the Bible's also clear: works without faith, or faith without works, pardon me,
Which
is dead.
scripture is that, Clutch? Where
James 20, I could find it right now. James
No,
20,
you don't have
22.
to. Just give me a general, as long as you know it's in James, then I'd like to look for it. And
I can
yeah.
find it right now. I got the Bible right in front of me. I
Oh,
brought it because I knew we'd be talking, and I thought I
you
might need to
you're
refer
better
to it.
than I am, because my Bible's over there on the shelf and I didn't even open it up. I'm sorry.
What do you read? What's your version? Not that I care.
Well, I have
I'm not a King James
no.
only guy.
Well, I want to tell you something after this too, but I actually have like 5 Bibles. One was a
Yeah, me
Catholic
too.
Bible that was given as a gift to me, and
Yeah,
I know it's evil that I have it, but you know what? I'm sorry.
not
I don't
evil.
think it's evil. It was a gift,
It's not evil.
and I love the person that gave it to me. Um, the other one is a Celebrate Recovery Bible that's just collecting dust now. And the one that I use the most is my husband's Bible, which is a King James version, but I have a lot
Uh-oh.
of difficulty. Well, I have a very hard time understanding a lot of the verbiage in it because of the way it's worded. And
You know,
so,
oh,
go
go on.
ahead.
No,
the
go
the
on.
fourth one I have is called The Book, and it's English Standard Version, and I kind of use my husband's Bible and that one the most, because I'll read some things in his Bible, and I love reading his Bible because it was his Bible since he was a child, and it means a lot to me that he gave it to me. And so, but when I get stuck on a verse and I'm like, I don't understand what that means, I go over to the English Standard and it kind of clarifies what I'm trying to read. So there are a few things.
I use the NASB. I find that I have a bunch of other Bibles as well, but
Right.
that's the one I like the best.
NASB?
NASB, yeah.
Never heard of it, but
I
I'll
find like the people of the King James Bible, they didn't speak like that. That old English tongue, that's not how people spoke back then. And
well,
if
it wasn't
you
even, the Bible wasn't even written in English, was it? I thought it
no,
was written in Hebrew.
that's well
In Greek?
the one that they translated from to the King James version was the Septuagint, and it was written in Greek. So
Okay.
That's so when people compare the King James to another Bible and they're like, look, it's different. Well, why don't you compare the King James to the Septuagint, and then let's see what's different.
Right.
You'll find a lot of differences, and if you do a little research on who wrote the Bible and why that Bible, I think you might find some interesting stuff. But I found that passage, and if you don't mind, I could read 14 to 26. It's pretty quick.
I don't mind at all, but before you start, let me grab my pen because I would like to write down exactly which. Okay, so it's James what?
I'm starting at James 1:14. Okay?
James chapter 1 verse 14.
Correct. And I
Okay.
want to read a little bit before and a little bit after, so I'm not just cherry picking the
Read the whole chapter if you want, brother. I don't mind.
Okay, here we go. Faith and works. What use is it, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but has no works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is without clothing and in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, be warmed and be filled, and yet you do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. Right there, biblically. But someone may well say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without the works, and I will show you my faith. But my works, you believe that God is one. You do well. The demons also believe and shudder. So that's something I quoted to people before. The demons believe and they shudder, but that doesn't save them that they believe. But are you willing to recognize, you foolish fellow, that faith without works is useless? Was not Abraham, our father, justified by works when he offered up Isaac, his son, on the altar? You see that faith was working with his works, and as a result of the works, faith was perfected. And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, and Abraham believed God, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. You see that man is justified by works and not by faith alone. It is the same way. Was not Rahab the harlot also justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out by another way? Just as the body without the spirit is dead, so also faith without works is dead.
Wow.
So right there, and people will just skip over it. Like, you show it to them right here in front of you, and they're like, well, no, that's not what it means. It really means this. And you're like, well, you're just special pleading now.
Yeah, and two things I really got from that just now. First of all, a lot of things that people use as when people use scripture to make their point, they're not reading the whole chapter.
That's right.
They're using one verse or half a verse or
that's
maybe
why I said
two
before
verses.
And after. Yeah,
before exactly. And after is very good, and that's why I encouraged you to read the whole thing, because you got to look at the big picture of what the whole chapter, what the whole book is saying. That's the whole Bible, and another thing that you pointed out that I don't know why everything that we're talking about just keeps bringing me back to my dad. My dad always used to mumble this, and it cracked me up, but now for some reason it's really hitting me, and he's like, well, the devil knew God was real.
That's right. Exactly.
He's like, the devil knew Jesus died. It's like saying, we have to profess that Jesus is our Lord and Savior, and we have to believe that he died on the cross. And for those of us who believe, that's wonderful. But the devil believes it too because he was there.
The demons believe and shudder.
That's right. And when you read that part, that's when my dad's voice just popped in my head. Devil knew God was real
Amazing.
too, isn't
That's
it?
awesome. That's awesome.
It's awesome. You would have loved. Oh man, my dad could sit and talk to people, and it was so funny because he was a sailor. I mean, just straight up,
Right.
goddamn sailor, and that the son of a bitch and all this stuff, and then for some reason, God just shone through in that man. It was the funniest thing.
My dad
Anyways,
was a trucker, so I get it. Blue collar guy.
so you get it.
Yeah. And I miss him so much, And I
Yeah.
was just talking to my wife. She lost her dad. She lost her dad a couple months just before me, and then I lost my dad. She lost hers to cancer, and my dad took his own life. And,
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I don't want anyone's sympathy. You can empathize, but don't sympathize.
Okay, well, I empathize that.
And no offense, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not saying it for sympathy. Is what I'm saying.
But you got to understand, I also work in the funeral business, so all I do is give condolences most of my day.
Yeah.
So
but I was I said to her, and this is a sickened way to think about it, but I thought maybe we were blessed that our fathers passed away before they did, because it was just before Rona, and I would be worried that how they might have acted during that time. We might have been deceived from the words of our fathers. We might have followed them, or we might have been very proud of them, or maybe they would have let us down, and we didn't have to see that. So in a weird way, it was kind of a blessing. I know that sounds sick, but
no, it doesn't. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people actually envy the dead. Because I mean, they start talking about their woes and sorrows of, and then I can go physically into the hospital to see my son when he had surgery, and they're so upset, and then the anxiety is through the roof, and then the stress, and it's like they got to miss all that.
That's right.
Darn lucky,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I wish death on anybody because but
no, and nor do I crave death. Like,
no, I know.
I don't know why some people are like, "Oh, bring it on!" Like, I know I gotta die one day. It's not like I'm not afraid of it. I used to be very afraid of it, and now I'm not afraid, but it's still the unknown, and it's still like I've never been there. I don't know what it's like. Like, I could be totally wrong about everything, but it's true. Anybody who says they know is a liar, because they don't.
They've
right. Never been there.
And a hypocrite.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I don't think that it's wrong to enjoy life, and he put us here for a reason. We're here to do something and to learn and to enjoy and to love. Like,
yes.
Why would you be like, oh, just kill me already? Like, what is your reason? Like, what? That's kind of a spitting in the face of God. He's given you a life. He's giving you something to do. Do it.
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah.
Live, man.
I love my life, and I enjoy. Whoa, are you okay?
Oh, I dropped my phone. Do you hear me still?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear you just fine. I heard all of that too. I was like, oh my God, are you all right, Clutch?
I just fainted. No, I'm just kidding.
It was so awesome. And it would be ironic if you dropped dead. You're like, I love my life. I want to live it.
We're done. Yeah. Wouldn't that be an irony? Oh, I could see that happening.
Oh no.
But
you get it though. I mean, I want to see my son grow up. I want to see, I want to grow old with my husband. I want to get to retirement so I don't have to go to work every day and just enjoy my life. I want to raise chickens. I love life. And
that's right. And
I actually count it all blessings. I mean, they're wonderful blessings here.
That's right.
Why would anybody want to just, oh, kill me now? No.
I don't like that. I don't like that attitude. I don't want to hear that. Like, to me, you got problems then. Something underlying.
I get it. I understand that, if you're a believer and you love Jesus and you know that one day you're going to be reunited with your father, your earthly father, you're going to see them again someday in heaven, or whatever it is in after this life in heaven.
For
It
sure.
sounds wonderful. I can't wait either. I get that, but
I would love to meet Jesus. I had a
amen.
poster. I had a poster of like, okay, most kids when they're little, they have posters of sports athletes. Like now I'm really young. I'm like 4 to 6, maybe 7. I had posters of Jesus on the wall. I wanted to be a priest. That was my goal. That was my
Really?
dream. Swear. Yeah, that was my dream. And but then life happened. My parents divorced and crazy things happened to me, and I guess I got bitter maybe, and I was angry at God for a long time, and I was like, why would I want to be a priest for you? Like, screw you, kind of like I was angry at God for a long time.
Right.
Very resentful. And I had to learn to overcome that. Like Jesse Lee Peterson says, you got to overcome the anger. Like it will,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
had to. Like I was bitter, and I was like, how could you do that to me? I wanted to be. I was a little kid. I wanted to be your priest. I loved you. Like, how could
Yeah.
you?
I was your
You know,
biggest fan.
yeah. And I blamed him for years and years and years. And it took me a long time to realize, like, God didn't do that. It wasn't God's fault. And whatever lessons, anything that happened to me, good and bad, and there was bad, and like
Oh, I know. Yeah.
violence and abuse and all that kind of crazy stuff. But I learned from that, and I became the person I am because of that. So
Right.
would I really trade it? Like, would I go back and change it? I don't know that I would. I might have to, like, because if I didn't go through those things, I might just be a zombie Rona sheeple, like who knows?
Yes.
You know what I'm
Or
saying?
think of
So
this. Think of this too. You probably wouldn't be the person that your wife loves. You wouldn't even have her. You
no,
see what I'm
no.
saying?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
because I
I
think
wouldn't have
about that
my
all the time.
kids.
Yeah, you're
Like,
wonderful. I think about that all the time. I always you're hitting the nail on the head, Clutch, because I always think like, oh, I wish I could have met Bobby when we were younger. We would have had a whole life together. But then again, I was a jerk. He was a jerk. We were both
mm-hmm,
arrogant. We probably would have hated each other, and
mm-hmm.
therefore we wouldn't be together now.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
then of course I wouldn't have my son Sam. It just
Right.
we have what we have now, and we love it because of the things we've gone through,
And
and it
it's
brought us
not,
here.
yeah, it's not predestination. Like, I don't really believe in that. But in a way, I think that God has a plan for everybody. And it's kind of
That's
like,
right.
it's almost like a choose your own adventure. He set up the novel for you. He set up, I'm serious. And he set up the path, and you can go this way or you can go this way. It's your choice. And he might know what you're going to choose, but he still gave you that choice.
Yeah, your free will. That's right. I just
Right.
laugh because Choose Your Own Adventure was a book that I referred to my son about it. I remember it was like months ago, and he just blankly looked at me. A what?
Oh, my
Choose Your Own
my
Adventure.
youngest son loves them. That's his favorite
Really?
books to read. Yeah, he loves them. He reads them all the time.
Oh my
And he
god.
rereads them so he can like resolve the mystery in a different way.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
It's a book that you can read about 10 different ways, and it's
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he loves it.
brilliant. Brilliant. I love those books. But the fact that you brought it up, I knew exactly where you were going. I was like, "Oh my god, I read those." I checked them out at the library. Remember when you looked at the library card to see who else checked it out?
Yeah. Oh, just be like, oh, that jerk, he's had it for 3 weeks. Give it back.
So,
Yeah, I remember.
oh, I've read this one before. Obviously,
I
no,
was
yeah.
I was big into Asterix and Obelix and Tintin. I don't know if you know those guys, but
No, I
they're
don't.
you
But I
don't know
feel like I
Tintin?
should.
Oh,
No, are you talking about Tintin the dog?
no,
No, that's
Tintin's
Rin
a
Tin Tin.
guy. He
Oh,
had a
sorry.
dog, and his dog was Snowy. But
No.
no, yeah, it was like a comic book sort of, but it was a
Well,
kind of
that's
like a
because
novel.
boys read comics. I was reading, what is it, Judy Bloom and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't start reading anything major until I was like 8. Then I started to read like Treasure Island and Robinson Crusoe and Robin Hood and like the
yeah.
classics, right?
Yeah,
And
I
then
read
then I
those.
was an avid reader because for me it was my escape. I had
Yep.
so much chaos in my life as a child. I really did, and it was
It
like
brought
an
you
escape
into
for
another
me. It was a
world.
way. Yeah, it really was, and
I
I enjoyed it. I still read now.
Yep, me too. I read I used to read the whole Dragonlance series. The same author was it not Terry Brooks.
Terry
Terry Brooks
Brooks. Oh,
wrote.
if you were going to go Shannara, I was going to freak out because I love me some
I
Terry
read
Brooks.
those too. I read
Oh, you
those
really read
too.
the whole Shannara?
Not the whole thing, but I
There's
read
like
them here.
there's
Yeah,
like
I
20
read.
some books now, but
Yes.
we'll have to talk about that someday just because I
Oh
love
my
it so
god,
much.
dude. I get so excited when I go to the used bookstore and I see the Shannara series. I was like,
Mm,
"Oh, I read that one." And I read that one. Oh, wait a minute. They're
yeah,
missing the one in between. You know what? I know it.
yeah.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
It
But there
was
was
so
another
good.
author that wrote a series called the Dragonlance Chronicles, and I
I've
used
heard
to
of
love
it,
it.
but I never read it.
Oh, good series, good stories.
I
Yeah.
read Wheel of Time. That was a really
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
And the Game of Thrones, which I've never. Well, he's never finished the series, so I'm unable to finish it myself.
I
But
didn't get into that. I
amazing. It's really
really.
good. Like probably the best fantasy I've ever read in my life. I'm
I
not
feel
even.
like I don't want to fit in. I don't like to be like the person that jumps to fit in because
See,
everybody
I
went
read it
crazy for
before the
Game of
show came
Thrones.
out, right? So
Yeah,
I feel like I'm ahead of that curve.
yeah.
I'm not a
You're like,
follower.
I'm a veteran. You're all civilians.
I didn't like the show really. They kind of changed too much, which is,
Yeah. Well,
you know.
what I grew up with is that my dad collected these leather-bound series, 100 greatest books ever written,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's got all that stuff like the Little Women, War and Peace, Moby Dick.
Tom Sawyer.
Yes,
Damn,
there
Tom
you go.
Sawyer. I'm so sick of him. No, I'm just kidding.
But all these stories now I'm reading Don Quixote. I never read that one,
I've
and
never.
unfortunately,
I know the story, but yeah.
oh yeah, that stuff is great to read. It's classics, and I remember when I was 12 and my parents got divorced, my mom had a garage sale and tried to sell. So out of the 100 books, I only have like maybe 75 because she
Oh,
sold
that sucks.
them.
Eh?
Yeah, sold them for a quarter each. They were
Oh,
leather bound.
oh my
And,
goodness.
yeah,
What?
and I was brokenhearted. My dad was enraged, but I mean, what could we do at the time? So now I'm kind of on a quest to kind of finish the list and see if I can find them on eBay or
Oh, I'm
whatever.
sure you
But
can. I'm sure you
yeah,
can. Yeah.
yeah.
My
And
mom
so,
did the same kind of stuff to me. She like my dad gave me his stereo when they divorced. She took it away from me and gave it away. She
oh,
sold my dog from me. Like all kinds. Like just
oh, my mom
she
did
was
the
a
same
very
thing, dude. Oh
my
my
mom
god.
was a very nasty woman. I told you about the rice thing. We had discussed that before.
Yes.
Like
Are you
it took,
sure
and
we
I
don't have the same mom? Because I swear to God, my
maybe
mom
you're
did
my
the same
sister.
thing.
Like, who knows? Yeah, it's crazy. Like she
My
was,
mom did the
and
same
it
thing,
took me
dude.
a
I'm
long
not even
time to
kidding.
forgive her. It took me a long time. Like it was hard. And now I forgive her. I don't talk to her. Like I haven't spoke to my mom in
Did you do it like
20.
Jesse said?
No,
Did you forgive your mama? Did you
I
forgive your
did, but
mama?
I didn't do it to her. Like I can't actually talk to her.
Yeah, same
We're
here.
estranged. Like I'm serious. I haven't spoken to her since I was 17, maybe. I'm
Oh,
40. I'm almost 45 now. So,
you went
yeah.
longer than me. Mine was actually it was this month, May of 2009 was the
That
last
you
time I
spoke to
spoke to
her?
her. Yep.
Oh, last time.
Last time I spoke to her, May 2009.
Wow.
And it just, you know what? I do in my heart, I don't hold anything against her anymore. Like when I think about the things she's done, I don't hold on to it like I used to. I don't get angry like I used to.
Right?
And
Like
I
being
actually,
mad at them is like it's like drinking poison and hoping it's going to
yep,
hurt them. It's the
exactly.
stupidest. Like, why would,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't. Yeah, it doesn't
But
work.
but at the same time, I feel sorry for her. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a long story, but I mean, in a sense, it's kind of like Shulamite had given me the best advice ever when somebody does something like that, it's something that they are hurting. It's something they are carrying, and it's actually a prayer request. So I pray for her.
Maybe I have more work to do, but I haven't got to that point where I feel sorry for her or any, like, to me, it's like, you've chosen your life and you live that life and enjoy. Like, I don't need you. Like, I don't want you. And I'm able to do that. Like, I'm able to shut people out and I'll never speak to you again. If you piss me off, I'm done. Like, there's no sense for me. There's no sense in arguing or having drama.
Right.
Nothing that's gonna resolve, right? So I walk away. Like, I'm done with you. Goodbye.
Because on the flip side of that, though, Clutch, I mean, you're also acting in a way of peace. You're not, some people would stay and fight it out, and then there'd be more drama, and they enjoy that, and they want to deal with it. Let them, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
But in my mind, obviously I upset you when I'm around. You don't like me, I'm not gonna piss you off anymore by being around. Go in peace, and I'll go my way and you go yours. And I may never know what becomes of that relationship, but you know what, I know at least that I'm not causing any more upset in that area.
That's right. I don't chase after people. Like, if you don't have to treat me with respect and you don't want me in your life, then goodbye.
Yeah,
like,
that's just a great point.
But I'm unique in that way because I didn't feel that way when I was 16 and was put on my own, right? Like, I didn't have the same feelings then, but over years I was able to.
I think as we get older, we've learned to pick and choose our battles. I feel like now, when I see somebody come at me or say something to me, I'm just kind of like, what can I possibly say to this person? Nothing? Okay, well then, I just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm for debate, and if it's going to be like not an arguing, yelling match, but like an actual debate, I like to exchange ideas. I like to have conversations, intellectual conversations, and bounce ideas off each other. But I'm not going to convince you of anything. I don't mean you personally. I just mean
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And there's just I don't see any point in arguing. Like, I can't convince you. Yeah, like, I don't know.
I learned that valuable lesson when Facebook first came out.
I've never been on Facebook.
Oh, you're not missing anything.
Never.
It's people painting a picture of a life that they want to have that they don't. And then when the whole election came up in 2016 between Trump and Clinton, then everybody started the arguments, right? They would post memes, and it was like a passive aggressive way of poking at other people of opposite beliefs. Mm-hmm. And then somebody would make one comment, and somebody would argue that one, and then argue. And I came to realize
the whole time the government is watching you and spying on you
and laughing at us.
I feel like if I know you and you're a part of my life, then you'll know how to get a hold of me. We'll talk if we need to, and I don't have to broadcast it on social media. I don't use any social media at all. I none at all. I guess YouTube maybe is social media.
I use YouTube too, but I don't. I try not to participate in anything that looks like it's baiting me into drama,
And that, like, I've left. I'll just say it. I've left Steven's group because I don't know if I was ever part of his group, but I left that because of exactly what we're discussing right now. Like, they don't want to hear what I have to say. And I'm not going to convince them of that, and I don't want to hear what they have to say. So, like, what's the point of hanging out there, right? Like, we're not clicking, we're not gelling. So all the power to them, and I hope they do really well. And
I saw your discussion this morning on Arwen's thing.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I was watching, but I didn't want to get involved because it's just, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's the kind of the commenting. It's like, what can I possibly say? Nothing?
I
Okay.
guess I'm being a little hypocritical because yeah, I did engage in some sort of drama there, but I eh, I just said my piece and like whatever.
Well,
I
you
felt
were
bad because
kind.
like Sheila told me that, straight up, and I was like, that is the most unchristian thing you could freaking do. And Arwen, like, he's a weird guy. He's like, I hope he might listen to this and he's gonna hear me say that, and he is, and he knows he is. There's no, but he's a good guy. Like
Yeah.
I don't know him personally. I've never hung out with him, but I feel like his heart is in the right place. I don't feel like he's really an evil person. And even if he was, we shouldn't treat him like shit anyway. But
Well, I was going to
like
say,
this
what
is
makes
supposed to
us
be
any
his
better?
friend. So
No,
why are we doing this? Like
yeah, ain't none of us any better than the other. And Arwen never did anything wrong to me, so I like
me
listening to
neither.
his early bird show. And I even found another. Oh, I'm here. I am out in left field again. Sorry.
No,
I
no.
found another group that does a Bible study, and it's a Bible study. Like the guy sits there and he reads the Bible and he looks up once in a while, and if you request a certain chapter, he'll go to that next and read it. And that place, I was really impressed because I went there and they were like, "Hello, welcome," and it was like, "Oh, you're reading the New International Version Bible. That's great. Well, we're at this chapter, so my words might be." It was so like no
I
criticism.
I found the same type of place. I probably not the same one, but they read from the Bible. They put like different verses from different books up on the screen so you can compare them. And this guy, his name's Christopher Enoch. I'll send you
Oh,
the
okay.
link.
You know what?
Dude,
You send me the link. I'll post it in this description. I'm also
this
going to
dude
post
is
the link.
amazing. I
Yeah.
can't I can't biblically I can't find a fault in what he says. Like I have nothing to like I'm like, yeah, this guy knows his Bible like inside and out. He is
Yeah.
probably one of the smartest guys I've ever heard talk about it. But he's really nice and he wants people to debate him, but there's no one who's at his level. Like he just destroys all competition. It's really I don't know if you'll like it, but it's not for everybody, but give it
Well,
a try.
we won't know till we try. The guy that
Yeah.
I was watching was Marko Nikovich, something Ovich, and his wife
Okay.
Nicole. He reads
Okay.
from the Bible, and his wife will sit in the chat with you. And
Okay.
everybody in the chat is so easygoing. I mean,
Put
it's
him in the
wonderful.
link too.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think just I think if we tie ourselves down to one place and then it starts to become tense and the drama and then it gets too constricting, then it turns you off to that you know the
Hmm.
yearning to learn more, and then you
Yeah.
automatically
How can
you
you?
go into yeah, your
How can you
defenses go
learn
up.
if no one wants to discuss anything openly and they're just like, no, it's this way. This is it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you're
well,
going
where's
to
the
hell.
discussion?
Yeah,
Everyone's going to
I
hell.
know. I've been
Everything's
called
the
a pagan.
Illuminati. Everything's Freemasonry. It's like,
Yeah,
do those groups
it's
exist?
pagan.
Yeah, probably, but they're not. I don't think they're the puppet masters behind everything. I don't
Yeah,
think that there's like, is there factions out there who want to do things to the human pop? For sure, for sure. But it's not like every single thing is Illuminati or Freemasonry. Like it's not. It's not. It would be impossible. Come on, like we're
I've
being a
been
little
told that.
paranoid at that point.
Yep, I've been told that I've thrown up, or somebody said that I do symbolisms in one of my chicken videos. How am I doing a symbolism? Oh, because chickens can only look at you with one eye at a time. I mean, come on, man.
What the fuck?
It
Oh,
just
sorry.
that is
That's
the
funny.
dumbest thing ever. Like, oh, I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
lattice on my house, and that checkerboard design is an orange buckets from Home Depot. It's like, oh, it never stopped.
Someone told
So
me that JLP, Jesse Lee Peterson, was Illuminati or Freemason because he had a black and white blanket on the cover of his book. And I'm like, well,
really,
maybe that's just like black and white because he's always talking about black and white people, or maybe it's just a blanket, or like, plus black
maybe he
people aren't
only had
allowed
a
in.
black marker and white paper.
Yeah, like, who knows?
I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
It reminds me of you might know this old Saturday Night Live back
Oh,
Dana Carvey's church lady. Do you know that skit?
yes. Isn't that special?
Everything's Satan. Everything's the devil.
It's the devil. There's the other one that I always joke about. It's the devil, Bobby, because my husband's name is Bobby, and every
Yeah,
time he sees something, I'm like, it's the devil, Bobby.
Or are you talking about
Waterboy.
there? I love that movie.
I know.
Foosballs for the devil.
That foosball's for the devil.
Yeah.
And I love how he's watching TV and she's unconscious and he's like, "Oh, look, mama, it's the devil."
That is one of my favorite movies. I love it. I watch it. Well, what part of the snake would you say we're eating? Well, the snake doesn't really have parts, but if I would say, I'd say we're eating his meat.
Oh no! What the part that got me was when I forgot the girl that played the bad girl, the
Nev
the
Campbell,
girlfriend. Yeah,
I think.
and she's sitting there, and she's sitting there meeting the mama for the first time, and then all of a sudden she just takes a big old bite out of that alligator's head, like. I was like, oh shit, it's good. Yeah. See, we're not allowed to enjoy movies like that. It's the devil.
That's silly. Come on. When I was 20, I had a girlfriend, obviously, at the time, and when my buddy finally met her, he's like, she was a nice Christian girl, right? And she was really, really good girl, and and he's like, that's not who I thought you would be with. And he's like, I thought you'd be with the girl from The Waterboy, like that type of girl who is all like crazy. I was like, thanks, buddy. I don't know how to like really take that. You know?
Well, thank you.
Kind of a backhanded compliment, I guess.
Yeah, there's some compliments you get that you just have to. Thanks. Speaking of Rush, we're listening to our 10 minutes of Canadian music now. My husband's listening to Rush.
Yeah. Well, we're not all perfect.
Oh, clutch. Well, man.
Good talk.
I had a great time. I just looked up and realized it's almost an hour and 20 minutes, but
I know. Crazy.
Went by fast. I do appreciate you pointing out things that I didn't realize, and the sin thing. The sin thing I really want to think about.
Please don't believe me with anything I say. Look it up yourself. Do your own research. You know, like, I don't know shit. I'm just a guy who lives in the
woods.
You know, like, I don't know anything. I'm not saying I'm right. It's just thoughts that I've had, you know.
No, but I agree.
I appreciate that you are intelligent enough to, like, that's a sign of intelligence to me, is that you can entertain an idea even if you don't agree with it, right? And you can think about it and logically, and that's all that I ever really want from anybody.
Well, I just know that there's things out there I don't understand, and I have in the past been adamant about something. I've been adamant about, no, I know it's this, and then I find out I'm wrong like a couple years later. That's so right. If I'm so sure about something now, what if I find out I'm wrong next year? I'm not going to sit here and just browbeat somebody about it, and then what? First of all, that doesn't convince anybody by browbeating them.
That's right.
And I don't like that term, it's the only one I can think of. And the secondly, what if I am wrong? So I'm not going to sit here and you know.
There's so many things that I used to think that I was wrong, and I'm sure there's something that I think right now that I'm going to realize in 10 years, like, oh, you're an idiot. How could you have thought?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get those, you wake up in the middle of the night with those cringe moments when you have a memory of something cringy you did 20 years ago, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, why'd you remind me of that? Oh.
Yeah, thanks, brain. I was trying to sleep. Now I got to think about this cringy thing I did.
I got to go do something else and try to get my mind off it. Where's my book of Shannara?
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, I had fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
and
me too. I always enjoy talking to you. We've got to do it again.
Send me those links. I'll collect all that. I'll put it in the description. And then here's the final question. Are we making this public?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
I
I
don't
love it.
care. Yeah,
I
I
don't
have
care.
nothing to hide, you know, like I don't. I'll
I'm in
say,
Canada. Why? I'm just staring at screens. I don't care.
come at me.
All
No.
right, brother. Well,
If
thank you.
anything I'm saying right now, I'd willingly say to someone's face, you know. So I got nothing to hide.
Amen. I believe it. Well, thanks so much. I'll
Awesome.
I will text you
What
later.
what links am I supposed to send you again? Jacob Israel and Christopher
Jacob
Enoch, or is
Israel.
that?
I know it was Jacob Israel,
Yeah, and
and
Christopher
then
Enoch.
yeah, and then I have
Okay.
written down the chapter that you read, the
Yeah,
John chapter, and then
yeah,
I'll post the link to Marko's website or his channel where he does the Bible study every day, and they're
yeah.
great. And then I think that was it. 4 things, right?
And I remember, like, I know we're about to end here, but you said earlier when we were texting that you had Bible verses that you wanted to bring up. You never brought them up? Was there something?
They were more for self-reliance, like if we were going to talk about self-reliance and homesteading.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we touched on a much better subject on our own.
Okay,
So
great.
I'm not
Okay,
gonna. I'll put those on the back burner
save
for
them.
another day.
Yeah, save them. Yeah, for sure.
Sounds like a plan. All
Awesome,
right.
amazing,
All right. Well, we're
amazing.
gonna go watch some Mystery Science Theater, have some popcorn,
Awesome. Enjoy.
and enjoy. Yeah. And
The devil.
happy. Am I allowed to say Happy Mother's Day, or is that pagan?
You know, pagan. What is a pagan?
I don't know. I was just
Like
told that I
to
wished
me,
somebody a Merry Christmas a few months ago, and I was told that I was a pagan.
a pagan to me is farmer some farmer who was using the sky clock for seasons and signs. That's all they were. Like, it doesn't, just because you say pagan, like, yeah, they believe in nature and like that kind of stuff, but that it doesn't necessarily like, it has this evil connotation to it, really. But is it really evil? Like, I don't.
I only feel like I've learned that a lot of the pagan beliefs go hand in hand with Wiccan, which
Mhm.
is very witchcrafty. So I'm
Yeah,
careful about it. But
yeah. I'm
I
not
did
saying
not.
we should.
I'm wary about like now every time it's somebody's birthday, I don't know if that's pagan, but I just kind of feel like anytime I said I came into a group and I said, "Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody," and I was like, "Oh, that's very pagan." I was like, "Well,
Those people are
you
losers.
are just the party now, aren't you?"
Yeah, like whatever.
But what I was gonna say is, wish your wife a happy Mother's Day from me, and I hope you guys enjoy tomorrow.
Yeah, and a happy Mother's Day to you.
Yeah.
And I hope you have a
Is
good
it
day.
Mother's Day in Canada? I'm sorry. I just don't know if you guys have the same holidays we do.
Yeah, pretty
It
much
is.
everything's the same except our Remembrance Day is a different day than your Veterans Day, and our
And Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is in
Okay.
October, and yours is in November.
Oh, you get 2 holidays in October? That's not fair.
Oh, yeah, I guess Halloween is what. That's the devil.
All right, brother. Thanks for the laugh. You
Awesome.
have a great weekend, okay? And we'll talk
Talk to you
again
later.
soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.